Q. Greetings, everyone. Hello. Welcome back to the channel. If you're watching this, I'm Adam Abraham, and this is Onesciousness Prime. Oh, now I got to come up with a subtitle. Okay. Spent some time getting comfortable with the idea of the Onesciousness Prime is a word that didn't exist this time last year. But it exists now, and it has taken me some time. You might say, as the birther, maybe the father, the progenitor, whatever of the term, to actually. I mean, I've had some lessons in enunciation because I would say wantiousness, which is a totally different kind of concept as opposed to, in comparison to, wantiousness prime. And so the one-chessness aspect of this is a product of I want to say, a tool that I created beginning of, latter part of 2022, beginning part of this year, 2023, called the Map of One-chessness, which I actually have done one piece on it at this point about actually, I've done a couple, but one on the outer ring, and I actually owe you one on the inner ring, as I've begun breaking it up, so to speak, and really contemplating what this tool actually portends. In this show, if you will, in this podcast, whatever this thing is this time that I spend with you, that we spend together. Um, I'm going to be talking about some of the concepts that are associated with one-chessness, but it's going to be applied to something that is near and dear to most people, although it's really interesting how to reach people. I've learned quite a bit about human consciousness, which is one reason this map of one-chessness exists, because I started to see, as I talked to people about this particular idea that we're going to cover today, which is restoring original value through the wealthy spirit, and through the protocol of cooperation. um, it's like there are some other things that needed to be brought out. So I'm going to be doing that here. Not just this, but as a part of what I do, as a part of this show, as a part of this invitation for you to, I want to say, join me in taking some active steps, some conscious steps to reclaim our power and use it consciously, and then see what happens. Okay, that's really kind of it. We have power that we don't know we have, because if we knew we had it, we'd be using it. It'd be real clear that we'd be using it. And on the other hand, when people throw out some spurious information or they do certain things, if we don't jump into a tailspin of despair and anxiety, see, that's also evident that we don't know our power. We don't know who we are. We don't know how to use it. And let us put it this way: the way we've been using it have helped to make these announcements and these tailspins appear to be appropriate. Okay. They appear to be what we ought to be doing, how we ought to be reacting under the circumstances. So, that said, that's a clue. If that's good for you, let's keep going. If not, siren hour, okay? With my best intention and best love. So, what we're going to do is this. I've been talking, I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that I had participated in a symposium referred to as Peace Week. It's now been a couple of weeks, several weeks since Peace Week. And it was like, peaceweek.org is the ongoing site, and but this particular symposium was 99 Days of Peace, and a whole bunch of presentations and all kind of things. And I got some music. Let me see if I can put some music on here and not drown myself out. But I think I got, not I think, I know I got a nice little groove, and it'll loop. And let's just see. I'm continuing to kind of uh, do my best to enhance the production values, but it's as it occurs to me. Let us start with that. We'll see what because it's got a nice groove. It's not just that. So I'm modulating the sound, and we'll see what happens there. Okay, so all that said, oh yeah. Okay, so I will continue this thing. So what we're intending to do here is I talked about Peace Week. That was the concept. That is the goal. And the people who were putting this on are wanting to see the world at peace by 2030. Now, I don't have a graphic to go along with this, but then there's this other group that's pretty much thinks that they know what's best for everyone on the entire planet, and they want to have their idea of all of that in place by, coincidence, 2030. And so, I'm looking at this, and I'm also feeling the general tone of the people's thoughts about things. There's a certain edge to it. There's a certain anxiety. There's a certain, hope that this all occurs in this time frame, etc. And and in addition to that, there's a certain component too. They want peace, but there's a certain component to it that was just conspicuously, from my perspective, absent. And that was, you could say that, oh, well, that's a given. But you know something? You got to not do givens. You got to say, you got to know what you want, and you got to be clear about all of those things, and you need to be resolute. And but what was missing from many of the conversations, of many of the presentations, all of this thought and thinking and everything else that I saw around it, was prosperity. And interestingly, the other group of people that have their other thing that they want to do also by 2030, well, prosperity for everyone was not a part of it. They simply have this idea of UBI, universal basic income. In other words, they decide for you and for everyone on the planet, if they get it through their smart cities and other things, how much people would get. Oh, they want to be, I don't know if I want to say magnanimous, but they want to have the sense of being generous and thoughtful, where a universal basic income. Now, these are probably the same people that brought you non-essential and essential people, okay? But nonetheless, put that aside, universal basic income. And there's something else called a CBDC, called a central bank digital currency. There's all of this is within their area, and it's all under their control. I mean, you may have some of it, it may have some access to it if they choose to bestow some or allow some to flow towards you, but they have the, you might say, the keys, to the kingdom, so to speak, to your kingdom. And if you're okay with that, again, just maybe we can say, goodbye now. And I'm being facetious. Of course, I want you to consider the things that I'm about to say, but this is kind of the way I do it as well. There are a lot of people that I've talked to about this who have basically, it's been like deer caught in the headlights kind of deal, not knowing if they perhaps have the permission or if it's even okay for them to have enough and not have to concern themselves with what someone allows them to have. And also not simply just have enough. I'm talking about for whatever they want, no matter when they wanted it and no matter how much it is. Now, that's the thing. I don't see people rethinking this whole idea. I'm still seeing commercials on TV where people are doing jigs and they're dancing and stuff like that, and they're talking about their credit score. All of that is there. their ability. They are actually having some pride in the fact that someone thinks them worthy of owing that institution or those people money. And that is not the future that I'm interested in. If you're okay with that, again, no sweat. But if we're going to create a new paradigm would definitely involve having enough to do what you want to do, and what you say enough what? Not necessarily money, but enough negotiable value. You have a sufficient supply of value assets or exchangeable assets that you can exchange with others, and you can deal directly with them. And you're in a position, okay, there's someone with services, someone with goods. You are wanting to, whatever it is you wanting to acquire from these individuals. Uh, Situation today allows us to interact with people directly, for one thing, and our present system has middlemen, middle people in place to essentially scrape off some of what, uh, in terms of facilitating that transaction. And so they are in the place wanting to just catch a little bit of that transaction. But the folks that have this idea for the things that they want to do relative to the UBI, well, relative to 2030, where you won't own anything, but you will be happy in your non-ownership of things. That's what I just said is not enough, because again, the people that operate central banks and others who are associated with them, there's a desire more so to keep their particular structure in place, and in so doing, they need to have, uh, frankly, as many people as they uh, deign to care about, still in their corral and under, you could say, their control. And before 2008, there was no choice. And in 2008, this is part of my conversation, and it'll continue to be. Bitcoin made that possible as the first really working cryptocurrency, and crypto for the purposes of one, protection, and not necessarily anonymity. Is actually a very public uh, asset. It's an informational asset, is what it is, and it is very public. Its encryptedness basically gave the owners of it some level of protection of their various transactions, so to speak, through this encodedness, for one thing, is unhackability, so to speak, but it's also more so its distributedness on a blockchain. Blockchain is the new thing, and I love my music, but I'm going to pull off and back it off. There we go. So the Bitcoin opened the door for what was called cryptocurrencies, and it weathered the storm that was put on it. Some people would say, "Well, gee, all these people are so bad. They're trying to crash it. They're trying to take it from people. They're trying to con them out of their assets, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera." You're damn right they did, and to some extent they succeeded, and to a large extent they did not. And that's life. Okay, that is actually and literally what gave the crypto space, that opened the door for other cryptocurrencies that did other things that Bitcoin did not do all that well. But Bitcoin did what it did well enough to become I want to say a use case, to establish a use case for blockchain technology and for crypto assets. Because as it turns out, the more people that use the crypto asset, the more valuable it became. So the first transaction, the commercial transaction using cryptocurrencies, occurred in, I think, 2009 or 10, where someone decided and agreed to accept 10,000 Bitcoin at the time for pizza. And that began the story. And then as more people began to use it, the value of each Bitcoin started to go up, and something new, a new paradigm began. And so, what I'm about to talk about in this situation is this is now what that was 2010. We're talking to 14, 13 years later. And there are many, many cryptocurrencies now. There are several thousand what are called altcoins, and many, many thousands and hundreds of thousands of people have them, and they are using different methods to quote unquote make um, profit, so to speak, be profitable in the acquisition and or exchange of crypto assets. What I'm about to talk about is none of that. What people assume this is about, it looks like all of that, so they assume that it is. So I make the distinctions, and I've been pretty clear in making the distinction that this is not about that. If it were about that, I won't say that I wouldn't be talking about it, but this is not. This is about something that's far, far more profound and far more attractive, actually, because it's very, very unique. So, okay, what's the next step? Where do I go? I created a presentation. I have a little slideshow, but before I do a slideshow, I'm going to move over to my little video that I did that I did not. Um, let's say I did not finish it. I did not complete it. It's 4 minutes, and it's called the Meek's Prayer. I'm not going to do this and run this on every show, but I am going to do it in this case because it's cool, it's nice, and it kind of sets a tone. So I'm going to change over here to the screen. Let us see if I got. I remember how to do this. Here we go.
in love. For mine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever.
All right. I did that several years ago, actually, and anyway, I still it's a nice sound. It's a nice. I love it. So I wanted to share it now. So let me cut to a greater chase. I talked about the visions of peace and a world transformed. Essentially, is what we're saying by some time. Okay, in the future, and I'm of a certain way of seeing things now that I want to plug some other things in. And so, and it's not just about peace, because as I mentioned before, with people still looking at needing to borrow, then that means that they have not altered, they've not considered any other way to solve or um, ameliorate the issue of insufficiency. When you have insufficiency, you've gone through an education system, a social system, which, according to the people who do all the educating and the influencing, this is the best that there is, according to them. And in the meantime, we've got a list of lacks of things, of insufficiency. Health, we've got a gross insufficiency of health. We have gross insufficiency of a sense of well-being and safety. You might say if we got a glut of anything, we've got a glut of dishonesty, we have a glut of duplicity, we have a glut of intimidation and attempts to force ideologies on people. You talk about living and let live. We talk about freedom. We call things freedom, but we act out in certain ways that are anything but. We talk about censorship. We talk about people who are quick to anger and slow to forgive, slow to be calm, quick to this. Have I made my point? I've made the point. So that's the norm. And so people are wanting to have some peace by some time. It's because they're clearly clear that they don't have it sufficiently in the way they are seeking and want to see it or experience it, and not having it now. Now the question is it possible to have it now? And the answer is yes. Now, can I make the world peaceful for someone else? Oh, no, I cannot. Can I make it personal, or let's say peaceful for myself? Can I make myself peaceful in this world? Yes, I can. Does it mean I don't care about anyone else? No, it doesn't. I can care about others. I can care about everyone for that matter, and yet be peaceful within my own being, because that's where I am throughout my time, or that's certainly where I'm connected throughout all of my days on this particular um, dimensional plane, so to speak. And so there are certain ways that we have um, become accustomed to thinking about things that have contributed and that do contribute to our sense of anxiety or anxiousness about not only now and not only about down the road in 2010, but also and more fundamentally who we are, what we are. Because if it's a point of, trying to pray for something to happen, most people, it appears as though they're praying on deaf ears. So then we get down into platitudinalism, so to speak, which we got these words that kind of, oh well, yeah, so and so, to make it all go. But it's really, is it really okay within us? It's not okay until it actually is. And it is important to get to a place of being okay, but you'll know it's okay when you're not concerned, you're not worried about what you're seeing and hearing. Uh, in fact, you're not obsessing about it. You're not blabbing it out even more so. Oh, this I just heard, this bad news I just heard, and now we want to become the expert on the bad news. Not the way to get there to a place of peace. So, so that's okay. The next step. What I saw was missing, for me at least, had to do with the prosperity aspect, and it turned out that that's a big, big nut. Uh, because I've been looking at it, and for example, when the Bitcoin came about and it was growing, learned about Bitcoin about 7 or 8 years after it got started. So this was like 2017. And it was the first time that Bitcoin went over from $900 for one coin to 1,000. And again, I'm just giving you some historicals because this is not about Bitcoin itself. Well, it could have something to do, but in a minor capacity. Nothing to do with Bitcoin. Nothing to do with methods of earning what's called income through cryptocurrencies that have evolved since Bitcoin and DeFi, for example, distributed finance and others. It's got nothing to do with that either. So this is something different, something else. And so you've probably, or you may have seen my other videos where I've talked about it, and we're about to talk about it now. But I want to make it very, very clear for anyone who is new to this, because someone's going to see this, they're going to listen to what I'm saying, it's going to make sense to them, and they're going to want to contact me. They're going to use the QR code that's right there on the screen there and scan it, click it, whatever, and it's going to open up a site, which right now is in pre-launch. So I'm going to talk about it. This is the mechanism. This is not something that's going to change your life. The cool thing is that you are going to change your life, however, with this, but it's not only with this. You're going to change aspects of your life that are beyond something called collectible or exchangeable value assets. Okay. So that's the first thing. This is a spiritual exercise. That is what I want to make clear. We can exercise our spirit, we can exercise our consciousness, and we can change everything. We change our words. I'll give you the example. About well, Henry Ford is noted for having and stating as his vision a car in every household, something to that effect. I could look it up if I could care that much about it. But I recall that was one of his visions, and he said it. This is what he wanted. He wanted to set up and see a car in every household. You could imagine here. I've got there are two adults in my little household. We got two cars. We've got one for each one, and we've had situations. There are households that have maybe one or two adults and perhaps plenty cars. Okay, many, three or four or five or whatever. So Bill Gates is also known for, I believe it was Gates. Could have been um, the uh, the Gates guy, not the Gates guy, but the Apple guy, Steve Jobs. Could have been him. Well, it was one of those guys. But I think it was Gates. He wanted to see. His vision was a computer in every household. And so here again, I've got two people in this household, and there are three computers, two laptops. Okay, and not to mention no, excuse me, 3 computers, and that includes 1 laptop, 2 tablets, 4 tablets, because we got our old ones. We even use those two, plus 2 smartphones with two adults. So you see this idea where he spoke, he had an idea, he had an intention, he had a vision, he spoke it, he also acted through positively, and this has manifest. So um, I have an idea. One of them has to do. I got more than one, but one of them is a vortex generator in every household, and that is something that as since I've come to know about what vortex generators do on for water and for any water volume, it's actually a very smart thing to do to have one on each household. Now, that can include new house and new development where people are putting these things in, and they're from the start, they're incorporating them right into the domicile, into the structure itself, because it doesn't have to be just residential. It can be any place where life is using and relying on water, because it actually ensures that that water is in a higher energetic, vibrational, uh, effective state, so to speak. It's more efficient. So there's less work necessary to make that water available to the organism. And that organism could also be just flat out land, because there's all kind of life in land that needs water too. So I have a vision that yeah, there's a vortex generator on every line, and I'm taking steps to do that with my President Water brand of vortex generators. And in fact, even as I sit here, we're in the process of introducing something new that moves toward that line. This is a little prototype of a new small vortex unit. It'll be an opaque plastic. It won't be this type, but it's a different design. We've refined this design since this prototype was made. But bottom line, this is part of I'm speaking something. Okay, we're seeing something. We're speaking it into existence. Well, there's another part of that. Okay, and I'll use switch over to this other part of myself, and I want to see a situation where everyone has the question of availability of uh, exchangeable value assets is a non-question, because people have it, and they receive it in a way wherein they have enough to do what they want when they want to do it, no matter how much it costs. So if instead of having people doing the jig over having enough a high enough credit score, here we have an entire system that's based on credit, on owe ability. I owe you ability, so to speak, because I don't have enough. All right. And we've got a system that is based on that for generations. And then they have the system set up that, oh, if you actually care about that stuff and you want to go take a look at what is your score, what is your O ability index right now, something, if you even look at it, that's reason in the system to take it down a notch. Oh, this person cares. Oh, we should take it down a notch. Okay. We will make them less owable, so to speak, because they had a caring enough to look and see what someone else and how someone else is judging them and their behavior and their activities and stuff like that. So if we're seeing commercials where people are still doing a jig because they have this high or high enough ability index for them, that is that's not the future I'm interested in, quite frankly. And I know there's enough of you out there that are not interested in that either. Even maybe you didn't care, didn't think about it before I mentioned it. But now that you hear it, is this the future that you're interested in for yourself as well as for your kids, for generations to come? Because if this direction isn't changed, then that's what it is. And not only it becomes even more so. It'll keep just becoming more entrenched unless we take steps, unless someone takes steps to change it now. And here's the deal: I subscribe to the idea of infinite supply, infinite potential, infinite, um, you can say energy, okay? But infinite, limitless possibility. So that doesn't mean none of the other things that the other people want to do by 2030. However, it also doesn't mean the things that I'm talking about right now doesn't get done even before that. Okay, first of all. The second thing is that my wanting what I'm suggesting doesn't limit the other people in any way whatsoever. There is limitless possibility, infinite potential, infinite supply. That's what we come from. That's where my teaching, that's where my study and everything else, that's where it's taken me. I've connected to consciousness that have explained and described all of this. So I'm not sitting around having to stop someone else from having their party, whatever it is, but I'm exercising my right, my ability, and my power to uh, put into place my own, which does not involve the limitations that they would otherwise have for me. Okay. And for you for that matter. So, okay. Having said all that, and I see my time, I've already spoken well over a half hour, going on 40 minutes. And you know something? Because I'm so, I'm at a place. I think I've said the things that I want to say or I'm going to say now. I do and I will go into this co-op system, the co-op 20 system. That is what I said I was going to go into. I'm going to go in. Let me go to my let's see. Oh yeah, there it is. I'm gonna go into my slide. How you like this? Is that a nice little screen there? I think that's kind of cool. So um, I want to start. I'm going to do my slides, and I'm going to see how concisely I can do them. But I'm setting the point, and you might even say the um, making it very clear.
you chip away at my pride. It's like you live to see the tears fall from my eyes. I'm foolish am I to think you'll change, think that things will always be this way. It will always tear me up or break me down.
other videos that actually do talk about it. And there are other videos you're going to find. It's really interesting. I listened to one presentation today in terms of how it works, and I think I'm talking fairly at a fairly quick pace now. To have spoken for now an hour, almost 77 minutes, you could say. Um, I've gone at a nice clip, but anyway, I've said what I've had to say. Okay. I invite you to contact me to ask more questions about this. This is a spiritual journey. And in spiritual journeys, everything and all parts of the life experience are affected, not simply the monetary side. We are an entire society that has 4 generations simply um, made money more often than not the reason for our doing various things. And many of the things that we are that have been done, I can't say that I was a part of it or not. I don't know. I don't have any memories of any other or previous lifetimes. Don't have them. Don't have. I know what I know now. I came in neutral. I listened to everything that I heard from educators, to the commercials, to everything else, and I made my choice. I followed what the culture and how the culture kind of pushed us along toward a certain way. There's the herd mentality right there. It's the culture itself. And so only after I started looking at what was going on and starting to ask questions, and then started to feel, to see, to look at causes and see the connections to things, to look at the interconnectedness of things, to see the wholeness of things, the monality, so to speak, of all, so to speak, if I'm being redundant. I start seeing things differently. And then things started to make sense. But different decisions became apropos. And so that's where we are right now. Here's an opportunity to exercise our consciousness, to embrace a consciousness, so to speak, to raise our spirits, to visualize outcomes and incomes, so to speak, that actually would make our hearts smile too. And see, we can make our hearts smile even before it shows up. And in so doing, we become more magnets to it, because as our hearts smile, as we lift our own spirits, our energy becomes more powerful. Our magnetics become greater. Our light is brighter, so to speak. And this is how we draw. When we start to speak, when we talk about speaking it into existence, where everyone has the ability. Now, again, everyone, some people want to make the promise or the idea that, okay, well, we're going to just give you this and this and this and this. We're going to give you more than you've normally ever thought about doing it. So you'll be interested. Oh, yeah, you'll really like to get this. And you won't seek to create something on your own. And in so doing, you won't change the level, and I'll say the low level of your vibration as it is right now. That's the end goal, is to just keep you where you are, because that keeps you, at their beckoning, for looking for them to fulfill their promise, so to speak. And there are people doing that every day right now, looking for someone. They think they're going to get something now because someone is promising something that someone else promised other people 100 years, 150 years ago. And they're, well, where is it? Well, you weren't there here then. Why? What do you care? What are you doing right now to create your own? And what are you doing to lift your own spirits? See, unless we lift our spirits, unless we lift our vibration that's associated with this is how we start to see things that aren't seen right now. But this is how we start to experience realities that are available for us to experience when we are in harmonic resonance with it. You will never experience it unless you are. And so, again, if we want to get money by someone's promising it to us, as opposed to you put a little value asset into this cooperative system, you get out of your discomfort zone. So it's not even a discomfort zone because, frankly, people are in a zone of discomfort right now, but they're familiar. It's a zone of familiarity. We have to be willing to step out of our familiar zones, for example, of antagonism, of thinking of betrayals, of whatever, so to speak. It's all low consciousness. And that's the problem. You won't achieve a high consciousness experience with having a low consciousness. And this is not a value judgment whatsoever. This is simply an observation as one who has had one himself, and to some extent, you got it here or there. It's not a point of never feeling fear or never feeling pride or never feeling grief. It's not about that at all. It's about where do you habituate? What are your automatic habits? How quick are you to accuse of people of things that you don't even know for yourself? How quick are you to be in someone else's business and have an opinion about it that you have no idea, but not be in a stewardship of your own life, caring about filling up or restoring your own health? Your health is more important than any money you've ever had, but people worry about money. So here is a way to create a flow of it, so much so that you won't have room to receive it. It'll just keep coming and keep coming. How about that? A money orgasm. That would be cool. That keeps on giving and giving, so to speak. So those are the things I have to say. And if you heard that, that meant you listened to all of this. And bless you. Thank you for doing so. And whenever you do, and when you do so, reach out to me. Join if you see how to do it. It'll likely be started because this Sunday, in as far as this particular day of recording, it will be launching, and you can invite more than 3 people. However, you want to help anyone you do invite to also help them succeed. That is the point of this system. Not is it's the system, it's the spirit of cooperation. And so, people, you're going to put some funds into this system. You would. Uh, I just let me see, real quick. I am going to do this. Oh yeah, real fast. way to move to convert your value for life, your own life, life of others, the well-being, the care, etc. This is a way for you to literally to convert that into negotiable value assets, into not just having some, but once you have invited three people to have done it, you may invite 10 or 100. There's a lady, I think, that has invited, that over 50 people have accepted her invitation, okay? And she has made several $1,000s already. I don't know if they're three, have three yet or not, but she still has made several thousand that it's come in. And as more people continue to join, either on her invitation link or on uh, the invitation of people who accepted her invitation, you need to have three people who are also have their three active. So you've got better odds of doing it if you have five instead of just focusing on the minimum, okay? Until it occurs to you, you want the number in actuality. It doesn't have to be the minimum. It may take you three or five. It may take you three. It may take you 5 or 10. But once three people that have joined with your invitation also have three, you are now go from an active level to what's called qualified, and the system's resources, all of the system's resources open up to you. That means all of the levels of receipt and are open to you. When you originally start, all those levels, all the 6 levels, for example, are not available. I think the fourth level is available. But once you become active, all levels are available to you. And once you become active as well, there's an additional 25% in bonuses that come to you, or you can say receipt that comes to you that's withheld until your three are also active. Okay, active and qualified are not the same things. Your three have to all be active for you to be qualified. For them to be qualified, of their three have to be active. And so you can see that there is a progression and there is a cascade, so that the benefits apply to everyone when they've done these activities, which are not based on how much money you put in. Everyone is putting the same amounts in, but it's the actions that actually determine once one is qualified, as is active, and secondly, once they're qualified. Once you are qualified, you're receiving ongoing, you're receiving all the time essentially, because you're receiving every 28 days, and that means 13 times a year from every person that is connected to your wallet. And it can actually be more than 1,092. It can be, it matures at 1,092 in terms of filling that system out. But if you end up having more people, more than three who have three, then it starts going out that way too. Ponder that. Um, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you once again. And let me see if I can. Now the music's not gonna. Well, I'll have to do some queuing up of music at this point in time. Thank you for your time, your energy, your love, your attention, and your joining. Okay. Until next time, peace. Be well. Be prosperous. Be onecious. And I love you all. Take care.